see. Yeah, you'll need a blanket and a rolled blanket, a block, and a strap today. Yeah. There's a couple more people still signing on, so I'm going to let them get settled. Oh, Germany is here. It's great. Good morning, Lynn. Oh, evening. It's not morning for you. Yeah.
Good morning.
Very nice.
Good to see you.
Okay, welcome everyone. Let's get started. We will start with just a little bit of quiet sitting. I'd like to introduce some pranayama that we're working on in the other classes as well. And then we'll have our opening chant and we'll go from there. Today you will need a rolled yoga blanket and a yoga strap and a yoga block. Okay, so please take a comfortable seat, an upright seat. And you can rest your hands in your lap. You're welcome to have your eyes closed or open. It really is your choice. But if your eyes are open, let them be non-distracting by bringing them down to something relatively uninteresting and then having a kind of fuzzy but inward gaze. If you choose to close your eyes, when you close the eyes, don't let yourself get then lost in thought. So closing the eyes is a chance to quiet your eyes, not to make more entertainment for the mind. And just feel yourself arriving here, this sacred time. Good planning and logistics on your part for this really important self-care time. There's nothing more important right now than your health and your resilience, your capacity to care for others and to care for yourself is intertwined. So as you bring your attention inward, try to gather a little bit the news of the day, which you're getting from your body, right? So how vibrant, maybe how dull, how present, how distracted. And try to sort of ascertain the news of the day as if you were watching fish in an aquarium and every fish was interesting to you. No particular fish was worthy of judgment or rejection. In other words, whatever is present in the aquarium of your mind and your body, know that yoga can help you with this. And then lengthen your spine so you have a quality of being alert and upright. And also when you lengthen the spine, lift your rib cage up away from your hips some so that there's a quality of lightness for your diaphragm to breathe you more easily. And place the tip of the tongue behind the top two teeth and begin to listen to a very light sound that you'll hear with the inner ear, the light sound of the Ujjayii breath whispering in the back hollow of your throat. So that whisper, that light sound is because we're not doing dynamic practice right now. We just need this sort of round, open, smooth breath passing through the nostrils, the sinuses, the back of the throat. The sound is heard with the inner ear, which further tunes your listening to be inward. Now start to become aware of the pause at the top of your inhale and the bottom of your exhale. And we're going to intentionally lengthen the exhale by using a very tiny straw exhale. So I was describing this the last couple of days as if you were exhaling out through a cocktail straw. So this exhale sound is going to be silent in the inner ear. You won't hear it there because the way that you'll exhale, there may be a gentle sound on the lips, but otherwise relatively silent. And then you'll hear again the whispering sound of the inhale with the inner ear. Let's do this 3 times together, beginning with your next inhale. Now, depending on your practice, one breath cycle will lead to the next. Or at the end of your straw exhale, you'll need a tiny puff of an inhale, like a little, where the belly relaxes and a little breath comes in. That refreshes you for the next 2 breath cycles. And we'll do 3 all together, so you probably have 1 more to complete. At the end of your 3rd exhale there, then relax deeply. Keep the uprightness of your spine and the sincerity of your intention, but relax all effort. And so at this juncture in your practice, just notice the influence of that pranayama on the mind. And know that we're going to explore it again in this morning's practice. So now you may bring your hands together at your heart. So we'll be working on the quality of discernment, and this particular invocation that we sing is, may we discern the real from the unreal, the true from the untrue, the finite from the infinite. You may sing with me. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. You may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. When you're ready to, please open your eyes. And we are going to transition up to standing. So I'm going to change my camera to the standing camera. Here we go. Alrighty, so please come up to standing. I'm going to put you guys on gallery mode full screen so I can see you. Not tangle my cords here. Okay, so I do have a rolled blanket here prepared. We're not going to use it right away. But when you come up to standing rather, I'd like you to take a yoga block and place it between your hands like this. Let's find out what the shoulders are able to do, and then we'll find out what we can increase for their capacity. So when you put the block between your hands, put the heels of your hands also on the block and raise it forward. And then inhale and raise it up overhead. Now, I'm going to ask you to be honest with yourself here. So we'll do this a few times. You're going to exhale, lower the arms forward, and notice the contact that you can have with the block, like how firm, from the heels of the hands to the pinky fingers. And then inhale and raise your arms up only as high as you can maintain that firmness. So this means that you're not pushing the head forward, we're not bending the elbows, you're not compromising. Good. Exhale to lower the arms down. Okay, and let's do it again. So inhale, both hands forward and both arms up. Maintain consistency from the heels of your hands and your pinky fingers. And then exhale and lower down, shoulder height and perhaps lower. And just catch the block in one hand and let both arms relax. Now there is an exception to be made. If your shoulders are quite a bit wider and this block just feels too narrow, you could put two blocks together side by side. Or you could get one of those longer blocks which are available somewhere on the market. So if that's the case and your shoulders feel like, wow, that's a big deal, then give yourself a break in terms of no narrative about what's wrong with or right with your shoulders. Now we're going to take the same block, I'm going to do it as a profile. So when you go forward, you're going to go up and then bend the elbows and try to take the elbows up towards the ceiling while moving the block towards the wall behind you. And so that's going to be different for your upper body. So raise up with your inhale. Keep the heels of the hands steady. Bend both elbows. Now, keeping the rib cage toned from the front to the back, slide the elbows up and both hands and your block back. And notice what you're required to activate on your upper back. Resist the urge to push your head or your face forward. Take a deep breath in. And then aim your block high. Exhale, lower your arms forward and down. Okay, let's take this down to the floor. You have hardly any leverage when you're doing the arms like this because it's called open chain. So now we're going to take it down to the floor. And what you do is you're going to put the block on the mat like so. And you put your forearms on the floor like this. Walk the knees back a couple of inches. And we're just going to start by warming up the shoulders. So that goes like this. The shoulders are vertical to your elbows. This is your in-breath. And then exhale and keep the elbows grounded as you glide your hips back and feel into your upper back, chest, and shoulders. Then inhale, glide forward so your shoulders come over your elbows. Bring your heart forward a little bit like cow pose. And then exhale to glide back and keep the elbows firm. We are not going to child's pose here. We're trying to stretch the upper back, chest, and shoulders. Let's do it a few more times. You're going to glide. The heart comes forward, shoulders over your elbows. And then take it back so that maybe your upper arms are about 45 degrees to the floor. And let's pause right here and see what you can do with the breath now. Particularly, keep the elbows grounded, forearms grounded, the heels of your hands on the block, and your pinky fingers grounded. And try to bring the breath into the back of your waist and the back of your heart. And then as you inhale, glide forward. Put the block aside for a moment. Place your hands where your elbows have been, and let's see, what does it feel like now to stretch into downward facing dog pose? And I'm going to ask you to be particularly aware of what it feels like in downward dog pose in your upper back and shoulders. Okay. And we'll make this little wave-like action in your downward dog. So on the inhale, let the downward dog have just like a little billow, as if you were heading into a parachute position. And on the exhale, allow the downward dog to have a little decrescendo, like a tiny hammock feeling. Not a big hammock, please respect your shoulder joints. But allow there to be some movement, right? So the inhale, a little bit like a billow in the upper back. And the exhale, a little bit like a hammock. And do that twice more. So you're getting the breath to move into the places between the ribs, between the shoulder blades. Nice job. Good. And then inhale and please come forward to plank pose. In plank pose, touch your knees down. And now when you reach yourself back to child's pose, I'm going to ask you to take a block with you, place the block under your forehead, and do this with your arms, please. Walk your hands forward and come up high on your fingertips so that the upper back is still getting an opening here. Reach your hips way back towards your heels and itsy bitsy spider the fingertips forward. Allow the knees to be wide enough that you can have the breath come into your deep low belly, your back waist, your side ribs, and the back of your heart. Okay, now walk your hands back towards your knees, press down and rise up to kneeling. And take your block to sit zazen. So you're going to sit on it. I recommend you kneel so that your femurs are parallel. When you come into this position, rest your hands, palms face down in your lap. And connect into the upper back and heart. See what's going on there. How's it feeling? Let's go back to our pranayama from earlier and see if you can do 2 breath cycles in a row and just get a sense of what it's like. So the inhale through the nose, whispering into the back hollow of the throat. And the exhale through a very tiny opening like a cocktail straw. See if you can do those 2 consecutively, and then you pause at the end of the second exhale. Okay, and it's my sincere hope that that made the breathing a little bit easier. Now we're going to take the 1 block and the rolled blanket for this experience we do in cat and cow. So put the blanket, I'm going to show you as a profile, it'll be easier for you to see that way. So you put the blanket for the knees and put 1 block forward. It's going to be used in a little while. Okay, and then you're going to put your shin bones will go on the blanket so that your kneecaps are not actually on the blanket. Some of you have asked me about your knees with all this yoga. So right now you have your shins on the blanket, but not the kneecaps. And then come into what would be called table pose. This is table pose with yoga blanket. Okay, and let's inhale and move into cat pose. So the whole back body rounds towards the ceiling. And then exhale and glide your heart forward and into cow pose. Lift your sitting bones, bring the spine through 1 vertebrae at a time. Exhale to completion. Inhale to cat pose. And then exhale into cow pose. Breathe in and out through the nose for this practice here. One more time, inhale into cat pose. And then exhale into cow pose. Okay, now step your right knee forward, it'll touch the floor. Step your left hand forward of your right. This is called a cross crawl pattern, and you just took one step in your crawl. Okay, so please inhale now to cat pose. And exhale to cow pose. Lift your sitting bones, bring your spine through. The heart goes beyond your upper arms. Now we're going to inhale back to cat pose, and then we're going to add something to the sequence. So you inhale to cat pose, keep both arms straight and strong. Now exhale, pick up your right knee to your right elbow. Inhale to cat pose. Exhale to cow. Inhale to cat. Exhale, lift your right knee towards your right elbow. Inhale to cat. Now exhale to cow pose and raise your right arm forward like an arrow. Inhale to cat pose. Exhale, right knee to your elbow. Last time through, inhale to cat. Exhale, keep the left arm strong. Come into cow pose. Raise your right arm like an arrow. And then place both hands back to table pose. Place both shins back on the blanket. And we're going to change the cross crawl. Bring your left knee forward and step your right hand forward. So this is massaging tiny spaces between each of the vertebrae in the practice that we're doing here. Let's continue with the inhale to cat pose. Now exhale to cow pose. Bring your heart forward beyond your upper arms. Keep the arms steady and the breath the same, steady. Inhale to cat pose. Root your tailbone, broaden one vertebrae at a time into like a Halloween cat shape. Exhale to cow pose. Notice where the vertebrae move easily and any place where they don't. Inhale to cat. We're going to be adding now the left knee to the elbow during the exhale. So you exhale, raise your left knee up towards your left arm. Inhale, place it back down for cat. And then exhale, reach your heart forward, raise your left arm forward like an arrow. Inhale to add asymmetrical cat pose. Exhale, left knee up to your elbow. Inhale to cat. And last time, exhale to cow. Raise your left arm like an arrow. And then inhale, take it back now so that both shins are on the blankets. Reach for the yoga block that you placed and come back to child's pose. And notice if you put your shins on the blankets, when you go back to child's pose, your hips go a little bit lower because the knees are elevated. You may have to make the block for your head higher, but you can now let the elbows, if they reach the floor, just drape down and let the upper part of the neck, one vertebrae at a time, and the upper part of the heart, also one vertebrae at a time, let them relax. And feel the breath coming down to the lower abdomen. It has to expand somewhere, so you might notice the breath expanding to the sides of your waist or to the back of your waist. And then please walk your hands back towards your knees and rise up to kneeling. And take your blanket and place it alongside your yoga mat. Something like this. Okay. Alrighty, so now we're going to head into triangle pose in a way that we were doing this past weekend. And I want to show you, so some of you weren't there, it'll be easier if you see it. And it's a lying down version of triangle pose, so that might feel like relief to you right now. So when I lie back, I want this blanket to be near enough that I'm going to place it under the thigh bone. So here is the back of the trochanter. The blanket's going to go right under the trochanter. So you pick up the hips, place it under the back of the right thigh bone. The left leg should still have this space on the floor. And you're going to take your right foot up into your strap like this. In a few moments after stretching the right hamstring, we will go out to the side, and the blanket should feel like a support to you right behind your trochanter. Okay, so please come onto your back. Place your rolled blanket snugly. If you don't have a rolled blanket, you can roll up a hand towel. You can roll up a bath towel. And you can place that right behind your thigh bone. And then reach your right hand into your strap, please. This is called Supta Padangusthasana. Open the left arm out to the side. You're welcome to close your eyes and come back to listening now to the gentle whisper of the Ujjayii breath inside your inner ear. This is not a dynamic pose, so you can have a sense of your listening going inwardly. And again, to greet anything that arises as if you were gazing at the aquarium, and every fish is interesting in its own way. Now it's possible that after the work we were doing, and with this blanket behind your right thigh bone, you might feel that there's a little bit more of your back body able to touch the floor here. Like your head, of course, your shoulder blades, but maybe even the back of your ribs. Perhaps some of you will sense that your lower back is a little closer to the floor. Perhaps the left hip might feel more grounded. Reach long through your left leg, making an effort to press the back of your left thigh down towards the floor as well. And then begin the process of taking your right leg slowly out to the right. Notice that the blanket being right behind your thigh bone should prevent you from tipping to your right. In other words, the back of your left leg, the back of your left hip, the left lower back, left shoulder blade, they should all be very steady. The moving part of this pose is your right leg. And you pause where your end range feels like this is the place to simmer, to enjoy. With the inhale, you can imagine the breath going from the right low belly down the inseam of your right leg into your heel. And on the exhale, follow the gentle tone of the deep low belly, like a tiny zipper going from the pubic bone up towards your belly button. Now, being aware that the exhale breath is going to be our transition breath. When you next exhale, use the cocktail straw and really slowly return your right leg up to center. Then take the strap off of your right foot. Scooch the blanket aside. Bring your right leg onto the floor next to your left and just watch the two hemispheres of the body for a moment. Notice the weight of the right leg against the floor relative to the left, and even the temperature in the toes. And then take your rolled blanket and place it on the other side. So it's going to go behind your left thigh bone. So what you can do is bend both knees, pick up the left hip, scoot the blanket right under the back of your trochanter, and stretch your right leg straight out on the floor. So you'll see when I'm starting that my left hip is supported by the blanket and my left foot is on the blanket. You can do it that way if you like. And then you're going to take your left foot up into the yoga strap. And wrap your hand into the strap. If you have a loop strap, you can use it. If you don't have a loop strap, if you have a necktie, you can wrap it around to make sense. But it's not like you're gripping the strap with tight fingers. You lengthen through your right leg on the floor. You may close the eyes and bring your attention back to the whispering sound in the inner ear. As you watch the fish in the aquarium, like the rising sensations, the rising curiosities, and maybe the habits of the mind that show up, try to greet each thing with a little fascination, but in fact, as if you were standing at the aquarium and the glass is between you and the water and the fish, so you're able to see and be respectful, curious, even affectionate. Notice how much of your back body has contact with the floor here. And start taking your left leg out to the side without uprooting the right hemisphere of your body. Okay, so as the left leg goes, that blanket roll is going to be right there behind your trochanter. And this might change for you, for some of you, the feeling of the stretch at the upper inner thigh. My other hope is that it lessens the likelihood that you are tipping to your left right now, that in fact, the right hemisphere of your body is very grounded. And breathe down the length of your left leg from the center of the pelvis into your left inner heel. And gently tone the low belly during your exhale. We are so blessed to be here together and to have the time to be interested in the body intelligence, to care for our bodies, to make our minds more capable of discernment and grace, for our hearts to be more in tune with our bodies and minds, and vice versa. So when we transition, I'm going to ask you to do this slowly because it cultivates patience, concentration, discernment, and also what it does for the pelvic floor and the deep low belly. You're going to use your cocktail straw exhale out through a tiny opening in the mouth and bring your left leg up, only arriving at the high point there as you actually finish the exhale. So however long that took or is still taking, and when you complete the exhale and your left leg comes up, put the blanket roll aside and stretch your left leg out next to your right leg. Let them both go limp. You can imagine them like seaweed in the ocean, and the ocean just became very still. Okay, and then please bend both knees and roll to your side. And I'm going to ask you to come up and to watch me. Okay. Thank you for being here. Many of you have your video cameras off, which is fine. I can see some, and of course, if it's not on, I can't see it. I'm just going to put this aside. Okay, so I want to show you now a way to explore into Trikonasana. And my hope is that this gives you information for when you stand up to do the pose as triangle pose, because it's one of those vastly confused yoga poses. And if anybody hasn't yet heard, the two planes of glass don't exist, never existed, shall not exist. And you can toss that instruction out altogether. The way we're going to do this is unusual. I'm going to be lying down, so you let me know if you can't see something well enough. I will first show you so you can see the front, and then I'll spin about so you can see the back. Okay, so when you, oh, this blanket is for your head, sorry. So when you lie down, you're going to need your blanket for your head. That's why I flattened it, I forgot. So I'm going to lie down like this. Here's the right leg, getting ready for a triangle pose. The left leg out on the floor like this, and here's the left arm. So as if I was somewhere in my sun salutation and I was about to open from the floor to the sky for triangle pose. And I want to keep the right heel grounded, the right thigh grounded, and to turn so that what's turning is that you're taking your left hip and you're sliding it away from, in this line, down through here. So the left hip starts to open. It goes only so far based on the flexibility of your right inner thigh. And this line gets longer. And then you turn the deep low belly. You turn the mid belly, the upper back, chest, and heart. And in this particular version, if you were to take my triangle pose and stand it up, in fact, the back of my left lower back is not touching the floor. Neither is the fullness of the back of my left hip. However, the back of the right hip is firmly on the floor, and the opening is across the front of the right inner thigh and the left hip. Let me spin about so you can see the back side of this pose. So this is our exit, by the way, is that we come back up. And so on the back side of that, if we take this blanket from my head, with this guy goes here, so that when you're lying down, you have your strap or your hand for your toe, the left leg goes out, and then when you're opening to triangle pose, the movement is, yes, the left thigh rolls, the left pelvis is rolling. We're going slowly enough. So the back of my left heel is on the floor. The back of my calf is reaching towards the floor. The back of the left thigh. And this is a space. The back of my head doesn't quite reach, and nor does my lower back reach, but there's integrity in moving into this triangle pose through here. Okay, so let's have you guys try that out. If you'll lie first on your right side, and you can have the yoga strap for your right foot if it's not possible to reach your own toe with your right hand. I, of course, reached mine, but I don't have long legs. That's the way it turned out. Okay, so lie on your right side, right thigh, right foot out. I'll mirror you again. Blanket for your head, please. I want your neck to feel cared for. And stretch the left leg out like it's getting ready for triangle pose. Place your left hand with your right hand to get started. And then start rotating. So you're going to turn your left foot and heel, the left calf, left knee, left thigh. Keep the right leg steady. Rotate your pelvis, left hip, low belly, the mid belly, your heart, your head, your left arm. Now keep the right leg grounded so you're actively pressing out from your right hip to your right heel and toes, into your strap or into your right fingertips. Also keep the right shoulder grounded. Now, we might think of the left one as the one to give attention to, and certainly it's important, but your right side body right now reflects what's going to happen when you stand up for triangle pose. So the back of your right shoulder and shoulder blade should feel grounded, as should the back of your right hip. Now start floating your left hand up, bring your nose up, rotate your left shoulder and your heart, reaching across to the right, rotate your left rib cage, left low belly, left hip, left thigh, left knee, left toes. And there you go. Bend your right knee, and let's change to the other side. Okay, good job. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts there. So the blanket is going to go under your head again, but now you stretch your left leg out, stretch your left arm out, And start where you have a sense you could hold the strap, or you can hold your toes. And by all means, don't hold your own foot if it means that your left knee is buckling and your hamstring is trembling and you're clenching your teeth together. In that case, use your leg warmers, use your yoga strap, whatever you have to loop around your left foot. And stretch the right leg out. And then let's begin. You're going to turn your right heel, your right toes, right calf, right knee, the right thigh, and then the right hip and pelvis. So it's as if the left leg, we're getting longer towards the right hip, and then the right lower belly, right mid belly, upper back, chest and heart. Turn your nose and sweep your right arm out as if you were reaching for the sky, which you're not, of course, at this moment, but you can imagine it. Now the toes of the right foot will either be pointing towards the ceiling or slightly down to the left. They will not point out to the right, because that, when we stand up for triangle pose, will not be the angle of the foot. And take notice the right leg. So the back of your heel, the back of your calf may be touching the floor. Probably the back of your right hip and butt are not quite reaching the floor, and that means that you're practicing yoga within your own body structure with the intelligence that is inherent to your body structure. Let's make the left leg strong. Left shoulder blade can be grounded. And then breathing in, keep your left leg grounded as you raise your right arm, raise your nose, start rotating across so it's right shoulder, right rib cage. Notice the deep low belly muscles. They have to help you rotate your right low belly, right hip, and right leg. And then bend the knees and come up to sitting. Okay, I have to come up and see you better. Okay, how's it going? You can tell me. You can say like thumbs up or thumbs down or, okay, thank you, Ellie. Okay, got that, Matt, thanks. Hi, Shannon, also. Where's the dog? Right behind, okay, right behind you. He's a little bit tiny to see. He's coming to every yoga class. Great. Yeah, and Paula, how was that for your right shoulder blade? It's okay? All right, good. So let's come up to standing then, and we'll see what triangle pose feels like this morning with this as your background. Let me just check that I'm doing my camera. There we go. Okay. So I understand that some of you have only one block, which is fine, I get it. And some of you have 2 blocks, but your spouse is using it, or some of you have 2 blocks, but the dog's been chewing on it. So we're going to do this triangle pose with 1 block, like this one here. Okay, so let me show you as a profile. You can do it whatever angle your mat is facing right now. So let's put the right foot forward, step your left foot back, and place the block on the tall setting inside your right ankle. And look down to check that you've got your heels here, either lined up or the left heel can be forward of the right heel, but please don't put it back behind. Okay, rotate your pelvis to face towards your right foot. And come down to place both hands on your 1 block. I put the block on the tall setting here because I want you to press down into the block and come back to that idea of cat pose from earlier. And in your cat pose, also remember where the blanket was behind your right thigh bone and press from the back of your right hip firmly into your right footprint. And then place only your right hand on your block and begin turning your left shin, left knee, left thigh, rotate your pelvis, the left low belly, mid belly, left side of your chest and heart, then raise your left arm. And if possible, you can also choose to raise your gaze up towards your left thumb. Now, all points that are touching the floor or the block can be firm. So you press your right foot firmly down, press the left foot firmly down, and use the strength of your right arm. And think of this rotation for your Trikonasana. It's not just can I turn the head, but you rotated from your toes, your ankle, your shin, your knee, the left thigh, your pelvis, and that rotation continues into the left hemisphere of the torso. Now breathe in, please, through the nose. And as you exhale, use your left low belly to pull yourself up to standing. Nice job. Release both arms and take the block to the other side. Turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out. Great work. Place the block on the tall setting. So the right foot can be, it's not a significant angle in on your mat. It can be almost 40, what should I say, parallel to the back of your mat, or maybe 20 degrees in, but not really more than that. Because when you get to triangle pose, if your back toes are turned in too steeply, it limits how you can rotate your hip and thigh here. Okay, but let's start with the foot there and turn your pelvis now to face towards your left foot. And come down to put both hands on your block. And think again of your triangle pose from earlier on the floor and how we had a blanket right behind your thigh bone, and make the left leg very strong from your hip into your heel. And then bring your cat pose in here also. This is your asymmetrical cat pose, right? Now place only your left hand firmly on the block and begin the sense that you're going to turn from your right ankle, your right shin, the right inner arch, feel like it's coming up. You turn your right knee slightly, turn the right thigh, and then rotate your pelvis around the strength of your left leg. Turn the right low belly, mid belly, upper back, chest, and heart. And as you raise your right arm high, you might be able to gaze at it with your eyes. And some of you find that your neck cannot turn that far. It's okay to also choose to look down. But every point touching the ground or the block is strong right now. Be dynamic. So both feet, both legs, your left arm, each can be very sturdy, very stable. You're doing great. Nice to see your practice. Notice the shape of the breath here and connect into your right low belly so that you can exhale and use your right low belly to pull yourself up to standing. And then let's make the feet parallel and come down to Prasarita Padottanasana. You might use that block to support your head. So take all of that concentration now, your ability to concentrate your mind, and send it inward as if you are once again gazing at the aquarium. And maybe you have less fish swimming about in the aquarium of the mind. And sensing the aquarium of the mind is something, you're not swimming about in there tossing the fish amongst each other, you're just observing. Keep your legs very stable, please, and walk your hands out so that your upper body resembles the downward dog from earlier, but you're not really weight bearing on the arms right now. And let's see if we can do 2 breath cycles in a row where you inhale through the nose and then make the tiny straw exhale, long, smooth exhale breath. And I know that for some of you to put 2 breath cycles together in this practice is going to be a challenge. So thank you for accepting and working with the challenge. When you finish the second exhale, walk your hands back, please. Take your block to sit in Zazen. Bring your hips back to the block. Zazen means that you're kneeling. It's like sitting on a Zen meditation bench. Rest your palms face down in your lap. And now we shall imagine that the fish of the mind, you're watching them in the ocean, which is much more vast than the aquarium. You might find that there are very few fish present right now. The mind might be quieter. It is said that sometimes human nature is like a fish in the ocean looking for water. We are looking for that experience of love or belonging or satiation, assurance or wholeness. And as if the little fish says to the big fish, "Can you tell me, what is water? I've heard of this substance called water." And the big fish tells the little fish, "My dear, you are already swimming in it." And the little fish finds that preposterous and goes to ask the next big fish, until the little fish experiences directly the essence of water. And now I'm going to ask you to reach for your folded blanket or rolled blanket and make it into a folded blanket. And we're going to sit on it for a couple of seated twisting poses. Let's take a seat and bring the heels. So what you can do is set up so you have your pelvis, and then on the inside is your, I'll do it so I'm not mirroring. Put your left heel on the inside and your right heel on the outside. Yeah. So it's pubic bone, right heel out, and left heel in. Yeah. Okay, and then you might need a block to reach the floor behind you because you're sitting on the blanket. Please cross your left hand to your right knee. And rotate your upper body to your right. So I'm asking you to twist in your upper back and your heart to the right. You can close your eyes and go down inside your right knee, right thigh, pelvis, over to your left hip. And see if you can make the distance between your right knee and your left hip longer, so that your left hip is reaching back away from your right knee. Do you have the sense that the pelvis then is rotating to the left? Yeah. And your heart is turning to your right. What tends to happen is we twist the upper body to the right and we pull the left hip up and around with us. So lengthen from your right knee to the right inner thigh, to the pubic bone, to the left inner hip, And place your left sitting bone firmly on the blanket on which you are sitting. And then you become honest with yourself about how much twist your upper back and heart can do. And then please rotate around to face forward. Notice the zigzag happening, because it will. And then place the right foot on the inside, left foot on the outside. Take your block with you as you twist to your left. And what you might notice is that initially the twist feels like, oh, if I just pick up my right hip, I'll be able to twist further into that. And so twisting with discernment that it's your heart and your upper back that are twisting right now. Yeah, and from the left inner thigh, from your knee to your inner thigh, across to your right hip, try to make that line longer and the right hip more grounded. And listen inside for how you're making this discernment between the lower body is actually rotating right to keep your hip grounded, the upper body is rotating left, a little bit like using the pepper grinder. And please do one more breath cycle in. And then rotate yourself to face forward and sit in what I'm calling pyramid pose, which means that your hands go out over your knees, and this base and this shape make like a pyramid position. And try to watch again as if you were seeing the fish in the ocean now. The ocean like this immense awareness, and the fish like the tiny rising and passing of thoughts. And now you can take this blanket that you have folded for sitting on. Hopefully it's still the long version of your blanket. And please come to sit in front of, but not on the blanket. And then when you lie backwards, you're going to make a little inchworm curl under the neck. So that goes right here. And I'm going to ask you just to check that when you lie down like this, you can take both arms overhead. And you can make a snow angel. And if there's something in the way, like the dog, the cat, the fish, then go ahead and move that aside. So the arms can go up and the arms can make the snow angel all the way down. Okay. So this is for 3 or 4 breath cycles to take us into Shavasana, which I'm saying in case you want to have your shawl or your eye pillow or your blanket to get ready. So here we go. This is the inhale through the nose. Raise your arms slowly up overhead, building the breath from the low belly to the mid belly, to the heart, and to the collarbones. And then like a tiny cocktail straw, snow angel your arms out to the side, taking the entire exhale for the duration of the movement of the arms to be synchronized. And then twice more, please. Inhale through the nose. Listen to the whispering sound of the breath. You go first third, middle third, upper third of the breath. One more. At the bottom of that snow angel, stretch your legs out and come to rest in your Shavasana. And when you come to rest in this morning Shavasana, imagine the legs like the seaweed. They have a little root at the base of the ocean, the bottom of the ocean floor. And let the back of your heels get heavier, heavier. Invite the back of your calves to become heavier. Imagine the currents of the ocean become very still, and the seaweed remembers its roots, in this case, down to the heels, the back of the calves. Allow that descension, the back of the heels becoming heavier, more deeply relaxed, profoundly limp. Invite the back of the calves to release into the ground beneath you. The lower legs becoming limp and heavy with relaxation. You can gaze down and wonder that seaweed has tiny roots at the ocean floor. Allow the ocean to become very still, very quiet. The back of your heels, the back of your calves, deeply heavy and limp with relaxation. Now include the knees also becoming profoundly limp with relaxation. The immense ocean very still. We remember that even seaweed has roots at the ocean floor. So allow your knees and calves and heels to become heavier, heavier, moment to moment, more deeply relaxed. Then include the thighs. They may also become limp with relaxation. All the muscles of the thighs, surrendering the efforts that were required. Let them now become limp and deeply relaxed. And you can say to yourself, my thighs and knees and calves and heels are very relaxed, profoundly limp. I am at ease. And then allow your hips and your pelvis to also get that permission for tremendous ease. Remembering even seaweed has roots at the ocean floor. And welcome the bones of your pelvis and all the muscles to become even more relaxed. And you say to yourself, my hips and thighs and knees and calves, my heels and all 10 toes are profoundly relaxed and limp with relaxation. I am at ease. Allow the legs and the heels to be deeply at ease and even a few degrees more relaxed. And then sensing also for your fingers and thumbs as they lightly rest on the floor. Invite all 8 fingers and both thumbs to be deeply at ease, profoundly limp with relaxation. Release the weight of your wrists, your forearms, each elbow. Allow your upper arms and shoulders to sink back to the floor. You may say to yourself, my fingers, thumbs, and hands, my arms and shoulders are profoundly relaxed, deeply heavy against the ground. I am at ease. My feet and legs, hands and arms are deeply relaxed, profoundly at ease. I am home. And imagine the inner body, the torso, the trunk. Imagine this space like the vast ocean, the mind of your awareness, capable of seeing, the intricacies of the inner life are no cause for disturbance right now. Allow the torso, the heart, and the mind to be like the ocean, the vast ocean. Welcoming whatever arises. No particular thought, no fish needs to captivate or disturb. Allow your awareness to be wide open. Like the ocean. It is said that we are like fish in the ocean, not knowing the water. We are searching. The little fish goes to the big fish to ask, "Can you tell me, what is this thing called water?" And the big fish says, "My dear, you are swimming in it. You are immersed in it." And the little fish, not believing, swims on to look for the next fish until the fish has the direct experience, the felt sense that he or she is immersed in the water. It is like this for us with love, with belonging. And you may slightly deepen your breathing, just welcoming it to come in. And gently, so gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. And you may bend your knees. And when you are ready to, please roll to your side. Please use both hands to come back up to sitting. And come upright in your seat. When you come up to your seat, it's a time to honor the practice that you've just dedicated to and feel the stillness that you can create inside, which is essentially coming home to your inner nature. That in you which is not disturbed by the weather patterns of the mind. That in you which can welcome the rising and passing of the fish. That in you which remembers you and all beings everywhere. We are immersed in this love. We must practice remembering it because we are so tempted by forgetting. That's why we sing in this invocation. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. May we remember more often. And bring your hands together at your heart. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, thank you. Namaste. I always like to hear how you experience the practice and what's beneficial and any questions that you have as well.